In the early years of World War II, the Atlantic Ocean was the sole lifeline keeping Britain supplied and in the fight. To cross it was to navigate thousands of miles of exposed, unforgiving water. Beneath that surface, German U-boats operated in highly coordinated hunting groups known as wolf packs. They systematically tracked and sank millions of tons of Allied shipping. This lethal coordination required constant, real-time communication. Submarines scattered across the ocean relied entirely on a steady stream of radio broadcasts to synchronize their strikes. Allied forces could intercept these radio waves easily, but every message they pulled from the air was encrypted into complete, unreadable gibberish. The Allied fleets were sitting ducks, surrounded by an invisible net of enemy chatter. If the Allies could not decipher these signals, the supply lines would remain vulnerable to a coordinated, invisible network. Without those supplies, they would lose the Atlantic and ultimately the war. The source of this impenetrable encryption was a compact electromechanical device called the Enigma Machine. Inside, a series of rotating scramblers destroyed any chance of traditional code breaking. With every single keystroke, the rightmost dial stepped forward, completely altering the internal electrical pathway for the very next letter. The German military changed the starting positions of these rotors every single day based on a printed key sheet. At midnight, any partial progress Allied codebreakers had made was entirely wiped out. This diagram illustrates the sheer mathematical scale of the problem. Between the rotor variations and a plugboard that swapped letter pairs at the front of the machine, a single Enigma keystroke had over 158 quintillion possible configurations. Defeating Germany meant finding a way to crack these settings daily, overcoming a probability curve that reset every 24 hours. The front line for this particular battle was a quiet, unassuming estate northwest of London called Bletchley Park. Here, the Allies gathered a covert group of mathematicians, chess champions, and linguists. Among them was mathematician Alan Turing, who joined the operation in 1939 to lead Hut 8, the team specifically tasked with breaking the highly complex naval enigma. Looking at this schematic, we see the fatal oversight Turing's team exploited. Electricity travels through the rotors, hits the reflector, and bounces back on a completely different path. Because of this, an input letter is mechanically locked out from encrypting as itself. Typing an A will never yield an A. The Bletchley Park team weaponized this flaw using something called crypts. They knew the German operators frequently send highly predictable messages, like standard morning weather forecasts or routine status reports. To apply cribs, codebreakers would slide a known German word, like Wettervorhersage, directly beneath intercepted ciphertext. If a letter in the crib lined up beneath the exact same letter in the ciphertext, they instantly knew that alignment was physically impossible. By searching for these internal contradictions, the team reduced a 158 quintillion to 1 guess into a winnable game of logical elimination. But finding those physical contradictions by hand was painstakingly slow. Doing it before the 24-hour midnight reset remained impossible for human analysts. To bridge the gap, Turing and Gordon Welchman designed an electromechanical automaton, the Bombe. The Bombe drove electricity through parallel circuits to rapidly simulate the Enigma's rotating drums, testing thousands of configurations against a crib, instantly rejecting any setting that contained a reflector contradiction, until only a few viable daily keys remained. The Bombe did not decrypt the messages directly. It systematically eliminated the false configurations, leaving a small enough window for human codebreakers to find the final key. Once the daily keys were cracked, Bletchley Park began reading thousands of German messages every day. This intelligence stream, codenamed Ultra, provided the Allies with the exact real-time coordinates of the U-boat fleets. But perfect knowledge introduced a devastating paradox. If Allied commanders destroyed every submarine they tracked, the German military would immediately realize the Enigma was compromised and overhaul their entire encryption network. This map illustrates the tactical deception. Allies used ultra intercepts to thread convoys smoothly through the Atlantic, bypassing U-boats without suspicious maneuvers. To preserve the illusion, commanders faced an agonizing choice: sacrificing individual ships to certain attacks so the broader supply line survived. The Allies ultimately secured the Atlantic by exercising immense strategic restraint, weaponizing asymmetric information rather than pure naval firepower. Breaking the naval enigma turned the tide of the conflict. By outmaneuvering the U-boats, the Allies kept their vital supply lines open, shortening the Second World War by an estimated 2 to 4 years and saving millions of lives.